Hey everybody, Clayton here at etrailer.com. Here at eTrailer, we install, test, and review a lot of different products to help you as a customer make a more educated decision before your purchase. Today, we are going to be taking a look at, and I'll be showing you how to install the replacement storage plate for Demco and etrailer tow bars. Our storage plate is going to work for a wide variety of different tow bars. It's going to work for the Demco Commander, Dominator, and Excali-Bar, and it's also going to work for our eTrailer SD and XHD tow bars. Now this is going to be red, so it's going to match the Demco tow bars, and our eTrailer ones are going to be yellow, but this is going to work with it. It's just going to be a different color. This is a very common part on these tow bars to get damaged due to how thin the metal actually is. And a lot of times whenever we're putting our tow bar in the storage position, we're kind of in a rush, and we always forget that we have to make sure that this pin actually clears that plate whenever we're putting it into the storage position. So a lot of these times these things will get bent, or if they are in the storage position and they're going down the road, those tow bar arms will bounce a little bit and bend these tabs. But there's no need to buy a whole new tow bar when you can just replace this one component. Now removing our nut and everything on our actual tow bar assembly is pretty easy. We're just going to need to break loose our bolt on the top and bottom. You'll just do that using a 1 1/8 inch socket and wrench. And once you get that broken loose, all you're going to do is thread off that nut on the bottom. And we do want to make note of how this is assembled. So there are going to be a couple washers between our plates, our arm, and then we have a spacer down here. And again, we're going to have more washers down here at the bottom. So we're just going to kind of wiggle everything around. That way we can get that bolt pulled out. And you might even have to grab a hammer and kind of tap on it at the bottom just to help loosen everything up. So when you're doing this, you want to be very cautious that it doesn't fall apart whenever you're doing this, because we don't want to lose any components. So what you're going to do is kind of bend these arms out straight and just kind of wiggle everything. And what I actually like to do is take these arms and push them down just to have some resistance to keep everything from completely falling apart once we get this bolt out. So with that bolt out now, let's say we need to replace this top plate. We can carefully slide that out of position. And when you're doing this, there is going to be a spring on the back side. So you just want to be cautious while pulling this apart that we don't lose this spring. And you will kind of have to slide it out to the side and down due to the plate, or this tab I should say, on our plate. And if you do want to replace both of them, which if I'm already in here doing one, I'm probably going to do both just for the peace of mind. But you can pick up another one here, eTrailer. It's going to be the same part number, and you can just flip it over for the bottom one. So now we want to grab our spring off of our old plate. We'll slide that onto our new one. It's just going to fit right over this tab in the back. We can take this plate, add our washer, and then we're going to pick up our arm. Kind of work that in with our plate above it. You want that spring to get seated on the side of our actual housing. Just like so. And then you can use your finger to kind of help align everything as far as our bushings and our washers are concerned. And if you're having trouble getting this aligned, you can either grab a screwdriver to help you, or you can actually take that bolt and align one component at a time, sliding that bolt down through. That's going to keep everything in the right position. That way it's going to be a little bit easier to get it back together. And once you get all of your components back in the correct orientation, I find it a little bit easier to flip it over to where the hex nut is on the top, or the locking nut I should say. We can tighten that down by hand, then come back with our socket and tighten that down the rest of the way. Now that we have all of our components installed and retightened down, we now want to test it out and make sure everything's working properly. So we'll grab that bottom one, lock that into position, and we'll repeat that same process with the top. And that's going to do it for our look at and our installation of the replacement safety plate for our Demco and eTrailer tow bars.